We'll still give a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
We probably want to, Bill, say in the beginning that if someone has questions during this, they should do it through the chat.
Through the
Yeah.
Q&A.
Q&A, sorry,
Yeah.
Q&A. Because some people might not be aware of the functionality.
Greg, after I saw your little Poland thing, I feel like I have to go get my Poland scarf and writer out of my storage.
I've got a couple of them in storage, and I just I pulled. This is the International Committee scarf that Bill Daga gave me at PTC.
All right.
He gave us these cool little things at the meeting.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
And I also got a little pin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love their logo. It's very nice.
It is very nice. It's
Yep.
got a great meaning too.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. We're on the top of the hour. So Bill McKinney, our head of contingent, will kick us off tonight.
Okay. Thank you, Ella, and thank you everyone for joining us. This meeting is going to be recorded, just like the last one was. I know there might be some people that are attending both of them, just because they love scouting. But we will be, again, recording both meetings and probably picking one of them that we'll be putting out on the website. We did hear from a lot of people that they are not able to attend for various reasons, so want to make sure that everyone has a chance to hear what's going on, listen to the story that we are telling, and then also the questions that people ask. So there is a Q&A little buzzer thing, I guess, down the bottom, that if you have questions as we're going along or at the end, at the last call, we had a lot of people come up with questions at the end, which is great. That's what we're here for. So to start things off, my name is Bill McKinney, head of contingent for the USA Contingent. Joining me tonight is members of the executive team. So myself from Massachusetts, Greg, who is from New York, so the finance lead, Shimon, who is from Georgia, our communications lead, Ron from California, doing logistics and registration, Michael from Texas, personnel and training, and then Ella, who's running the slideshow, is from Wisconsin. So we have people from all over the country that are putting a lot of time and effort into this. My wife is sick of hearing the word Poland all the time, making calls, answering emails. There's a lot to do. I will say, Greg and I were over in Poland a couple of weeks ago. We had a head of contingent meeting. First, we flew into Warsaw and met with the U.S. Embassy. They are all on board for what we're doing. They had already met with their counterparts from the British Embassy and Canadian Embassy, and so well aware of what's happening over there. So we talked to them about different things that could come up while we're over there. So I want to make sure we're prepared. Then we went up to Gdansk, probably not pronouncing it right, but went up there for the head of contingent meeting. We had representatives from over 50 countries that are going to be there. So got to meet them, hear what their plans, challenges, what they're hoping to do, and then also the Jamboree planning team. And I have to say, I was very, very impressed with the Jamboree planning team. We're able to go check out the site where the Jamboree is going to be held. So it's interesting to see it right now, which is just corn stalks and an open field. But in a couple of years, it'll be a city of 46,000. So it really is a city. The plan is that there'll be 36,000 with the participants and 10,000 with IST. So that's the cap. That's typically what a jamboree is. But they're not looking to be the biggest. They want to be the best and the safest, most enjoyable. So they're putting a lot of time and effort into it. They are working with the federal government of Poland, their regional government, and their local government. So coordinating with the military, coordinating with the local services, the police, fire, everything else that goes from running a city. So a lot of planning and effort goes into it. We're gonna have another head of contingent meeting next July, so we'll be there around the same time, as the Jamboree would be 1 year later. It was a little cool while we were over there. The good news is, if you're in Korea where it was 90 degrees in the middle of the night, here it's probably going to be, maybe in the 70s and could, get down into the 50s at night. So be much more comfortable for us over there. It's others will be talking about where it is, the pre-tour and everything else. So like I said, I just want to introduce the team and talk about why are we going to the Jamboree, the details, the contingent logo, and the cost. So next up. So the Jamboree theme is bravely. Whatever you do, do it bravely. And the World Jamboree, what is it? Well, it moves around the world every 4 years, much like the Olympics. So 2023, we were in Korea. 2019, the US hosted it. Many of you were probably at that. Before that, it was in Sweden. Before that, it was in England. So it's really an incredible opportunity to go camping and be camping right next to scouts from 140 plus different countries. And everyone has whether you're learning about the different countries in school or you're learning a new language, that you can practice, or you have ancestors that came from different countries, things that you may have heard about, people from different specific countries. Now's your chance to go meet them, and find out that, maybe some of the stereotypes that you thought aren't actually true. There's nothing better than meeting people and really getting a sense of, the culture and the pride that they have in their country, just like we have in ours. So, obviously we're a large country, but doesn't mean we'll have the largest contingent over there. It's in Europe, so it'll be a lot of European scouts, but again, all the continents will be represented. Most of the countries in the world will be represented. So, and you're, like I said, you're camping right next to them. So there is no other time when you'll be able to be in a good, safe environment to be able to meet your peers that are all high school age, from around the world. So we wanted to kind of give you a sense of what it was like to be a participant. So we have Thomas B. who is from Troop 10 in Korea, who's from California, and he'll talk about what it was like for him to be a participant in Korea. Thomas?
Good evening, everyone. Well, for me, it was definitely a life-changing experience. I mean, even from the start, before I left to Korea, I got to meet all my troop mates, whether it was on Zoom meetings or even in person. I had so much fun getting to meet all of them. But even on the flight over, there were other scouts throughout the airports. When we got to Seoul, hundreds of scouts just all arriving at the same time, even in Seoul and around Seoul. You got to meet kids from Australia, the UK, all over the place. I mean, people started trading almost immediately, which I think was a really important aspect of the World Scout Jamboree. I mean, I saw my friends having Australian neckerchiefs and Australian patches right away. But then when we got to the Jamboree site, it was definitely amazing seeing over 40,000 scouts from across the world just all coming together at one location, and all the different cultures we got to embrace. It was just amazing. I mean, we were able to camp next to people from Holland and Japan and Germany and Taiwan. I mean, all these different cultures that were surrounding us, regardless of the language barrier that was definitely very present, but we could communicate through our cultures and through patch trading. I mean, it was very simple, just saying, oh, do you want to trade this for this? I mean, it was definitely very fun regarding the circumstances that we had to go through. But I would definitely go back again in a heartbeat because of how fun and life-changing it was for me.
Thank you, Thomas. And next up, we have Adelaide, who is from, she was in Troop 3 in Korea. 13, I'm sorry, 13.
Hi, yeah. So thank you. My name's Adelaide. For me, World Jamboree was an absolutely incredible experience. I had a great time, but I also found that a lot of what I walked away with are things that I actively use and benefit from. Skills, personal skills and professional skills that I really benefited from in the long term. So number one, I walked away with a lot of really long lasting friendships. I'm still in touch with a lot of people I met, some in my own troop, but some that I met in other troops, both in the US and out of and from other countries, and reconnected with them later. And some of them are now my closest friends, which has been so incredible. A lot of personal skills. I got really, really comfortable with talking to people who I've never met before or who I'm very different from. I became very open, was able to make those connections. And now because of that experience, I'm able to walk up to people and instantly have a conversation with them and enjoy it. And being able to enjoy and adapt easily to a very different environment rather than being awkward and freezing up. Now I can really navigate it pretty confidently. For me, getting to see the scouting tradition, when you go to the World Scout Jamboree, you see a lot of how big scouting is, both in the US and really kind of that culture, but also how it changes and adapts and what it looks like in others, and that you're really part of something that is much, much bigger in the long run. So for me, that was really eye-opening, and I learned a lot, and I was able to become more open to new ideas and ways to solve problems and to adapt to things that have benefited my troop here in Oklahoma, and has benefited the national level courses I've staffed and all these things. So I became more open and more able to adapt and introduce new ideas and to be open to new ideas. And with that, being more comfortable with working people who are different from me. I also got of course, in World Scout Jamboree, as Thomas said, you're working with people who are very, well, not working with, but you're exposed to cultures that are very different from yours. Again, this helped me. I developed such a bigger sense of what the world was and bigger empathy for people around me. And so those are some things that, for me, I walked away with that really changed my life and have helped me share, that I have been able to share with other people. So I was really thankful to get to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Adelaide and Thomas. That's great. The fact that you mentioned, the scouts that from all over the world. So they're scouts. So you already know that they're good people. So it makes it easier to connect with them and start off the conversations that end up leading to friendships. So next up, we have, next slide.
Oops, sorry.
No.
It's the details. So let's
Okay.
start out here with our tour. Szymon?
Hello, everybody. My name is Szymon Łączny in Polish, last name in English, and you notice I'm wearing a funny hat. It is actually a Polish scout uniform hat with the fleur-de-lis on the front, and it's something that you're going to see a lot if you go to Poland. I also wanted to kind of mention that on the website, if you're interested, there's a lot of information that we're putting out about the culture. There's the video of scouting songs that scouts in Poland sing around the campfire. So this ties into what we're trying to do with the departure and the pre-tour. What is the pre-tour? Pre-tour is basically touring the host country before we go to the Jamboree. We're going to leave from multiple gateway cities, kind of combine the troops there. So we travel together, not as the entire contingent, because there are going to be people from all over the country, but you're going to be traveling as a unit with adults. We're going to touch on that later. The pre-tour, this is still in the process of determining what we're going to see, but this is those are most likely sites. Krakow, which is the historic center, old country capital that was undamaged during World War II. Auschwitz, the biggest Nazi death camp in Europe, and the now memorial to the victims of the Holocaust. Zakopane, which is a city in the mountains that's surrounded by mountains that look like the Rockies. and Warsaw, or Warszawa in Polish, which is a city that has a lot of history. To give you an example of how the Poland looks like, it's kind of squarish. On the bottom is bordered by the mountains. On top is the Baltic Sea, and it's the size roughly of the state of New Mexico. But there are 38 million people living there, so there's a lot of people. So you're going to be meeting not just the scouts, you're going to be meeting other people that are that live there. And in the pictures clockwise from top left, you have the old town square in Krakow as a sampler of what you're going to see. On next one to the right is the gate to Auschwitz-Birkenau, which is the largest camp, the death camp built by Nazis in Europe. Then on the bottom you have the night skyline of Warszawa, which is totally changed since the changes after Berlin Wall fell. And the last picture shows you the mountains. The picture is most likely taken in the spring because there's still snow on the mountain tops. But that's how the town looks like. It's surrounded by beautiful vistas. We're gonna go probably not hiking in the tall mountains, which the hiking is awesome, but we're gonna make some short hikes to other beautiful sites that you're gonna be able to experience the majesty of the mountains. Next. Now let's talk about a little bit about on the site of the Jamboree. We also have a video of that site on the website if you want to see more. But the site has been tested. It was the site of the 2018 Polish National, 2018 National Jamboree. It was also was planned to be a site for the European Jamboree, which unfortunately was canceled by COVID. This picture is from that National Jamboree. So as you can see, there's plenty of room for more scouts, even though this was 10,000 scouts from all over Poland. The Sobieszewo Islands, which is Wyspa Sobieszewska in Polish, in Gdańsk, is surrounded by Baltic Sea, which you can see on the very edge of the picture. And there is also some forest, but it's pretty much flat, sandy island surrounded by the Baltic Sea and the Vistula River. And it's also a sanctuary for a lot of different birds. So it's not that it's completely urban. Now let's talk about some tentative dates. The departure, it's all dependent on how we decide to do the pre-tour, but it's most likely going to be on July 23rd. And we're going to arrive in our first city, most likely Krakow, on July 24th. It's an overnight flight, and spend the next few days doing the pre-tour, ending with registration on July 29th. The Jamboree itself lasts from July 30th through August 8th, which means that we will be departing Poland on August 9th. One of the things that we've talked about is the fact that a lot of states, especially in the South, start school early, around August 1st. So if you decide to go, you might want to have a chat with your principal and let them know that you're going, and your teachers. I'm pretty sure that they're gonna allow that, especially if you offer them a little bribe of saying that you're gonna put together a presentation on your experience in Poland on the pre-tour and the Jamboree. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be welcoming some learnings like that. One thing that we want to point out, because it's going to be very important when you're going to be filling out documents in Europe, is Europe writes dates differently. They do day, month, year, but in many official documents is the flip side. It's year, month, day. So you need to be very careful how you fill it all out, so you don't put the January 31st as 31, sorry, 1031, because they're not going to know what it is. The next one is I pass it on to Ron. and-
Yeah, it's Ron who's responsible for our registration.
Okay. For our contingent is going to be will be made up of youth participants, international service team members, as well as unit leaders. To participate, you need to be between the ages of 14 and 17 during the Jamboree. So that means if your birthday falls between July 30th, 2009 and July 30th, 2013, you can participate as you can attend as a youth participant. You'll be put into a provisional unit with adult unit leaders. The international service team is a great way to participate in a World Jamboree if you're 18 years or older. As mentioned earlier, we're going to be a city of 45,000 people. So just about any kind of service that you'd need to have to run a city, we're going to need IST staff to fill those positions. You'll have an opportunity if you sign up for IST to put what those preferences are, and especially based on if you've got some specialized skills that they're going to need. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later as well. The job category list will be out in March 2026. So Poland will be sending out that information for all IST members, and at that point you can then specify what your areas of interest are. For unit leaders, if we could go back for a second.
Sorry.
Unit leaders. If you're interested in IST or being a unit leader, please sign up now, because we'll be able to change your registration to a unit leader later if you're selected. Unit leaders need to be 18 years or older. The selection process is going to happen the second quarter of 2026. As I already mentioned, definitely sign up now if you're interested in serving in either of those positions. If you're only interested in being a unit leader and not serving on IST, please join the mailing list that's on our contingent website, and that way you can get your name on the list. And as we start that process, you'll be notified when that's happening. So yeah, if we can go to the next, we've got a couple IST guest speakers that can speak to their experience. At first, we'll start off with Tom, who was a parent IST member who had a youth that attended Korea, and he'll talk a little bit about what that was like. Do we have Tom?
We
Or is he
do,
on mute?
but he's for some reason we're not hearing you yet, Tom. It looks like you're unmuted.
Not sure what's going on. Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah,
If you could try to go ahead.
I'm gonna say let's go ahead and go to Greg while Tom
Yeah.
figures out his technology issue.
So
Sure, no problem.
Greg was a young IST member at the last Jamboree, and so please.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate still being called young. I'll hold on to that as long as I can.
Compared to some of us.
Fair enough, fair enough. So yeah, good evening, everyone. I was asked to talk a little bit about my experience as an IST member. So I've served on 2 World Jamborees on the international service team. So in the 2019 Jamboree in the United States, I was 25, and in 2023 in South Korea, I was 29. And I served in 2 very different jobs, both that I enjoyed very much. But in 2019, I was a member of the Jamboree Band. And in 2023, I was a US Contingent Media Team member. Very different, but both very fulfilling. I'm not sure if there will be a band in Poland. I know that there wasn't one in Korea. That may have just been a US only thing. But that was a job that really allowed me to work with and get to know other IST members from multiple other countries as well as around the US. And that one allowed me to have kind of that direct impact on the program and the Jamboree experience for the Scouts. We played at a number of different events and performances during the Jamboree. For the contingent media team, that had me working with other US Scouts from around the country. We were kind of embedded with some of the units to try to tell their stories on what they were doing and who they had met at the Jamboree. So that was a little bit more behind the scenes, but I still felt was a very key role for kind of documenting and sharing the various experiences that everyone in the contingent had, both in text and in video. That was shared a lot on social media as well. That one was a little closer to what I do for a living. I do a lot of technical writing, so kind of that writing, editing, things like that, and also something I had some experience with in other Order of the Arrow positions. One of the things that I liked the most about serving on the IST was that opportunity to be a part of such a big event, helping to make it happen in a small way for those scouts from around the world. Personally, I never had the opportunity to attend a Jamboree as a participant, so attending as an IST was a great way to get that Jamboree experience from kind of a different aspect. The two Jamborees were very fulfilling experiences for me, allowed me to make friends from around the world and to see and experience other cultures. Certainly some of my favorite experiences in scouting, and something I hope to do again in Poland and beyond. So that was a quick little thing for me. I'm happy to leave my info in the chat if you guys would like to answer any specific questions about my experiences or Jamborees in general. But thank you all for your time.
Hey, Ron, I've got Tom on the line, and Tom will be able to provide. We're going to go really low tech, phone to computer.
Your thing there. I'm here at a district roundtable, so I have to speak out. Apparently, this connection here isn't well. It's good. Anyhow, I was an IST in Korea. I signed up for the World Scout Jamboree along with my son. I had no idea what I was going to get myself into. I'd never been to any jamborees. Been a scout as a kid, but that was not something that I'd done. I said, well, why not? Let's try it, see what it's like. And so I'm glad I was an IST as opposed to a unit leader, because it gave my son a chance to do his own thing. I was there, I could help out, but at the same time, he could have his own adventure without dad looking over his shoulder. And I think that worked out well for both of us. I was able to have my own adventure too. As I don't know if it was said on this call, but the call we did earlier, we talked about the fact that ISTs don't travel with the contingent officially, but I was able to figure out what flight the contingent was on and just got my own seat on the same flight. And so I traveled with the contingent and naturally was put to work helping the herd scouts onto the plane and off the plane. And then I had to make my way on from the plane when the scouts were doing the pre-tour down through the site. And there was plenty to do. I'm sure there'll be plenty to do in Poland. It'll probably be a very different setup, but I had signed up for the events team, and basically I was a warm body, and I got thrown into all kinds of different jobs because I was willing to do that. And the great thing is you got to meet people from all over the world, just as the scouts would. So I met other adult leaders from many different countries and worked with people from England and from Germany and from Netherlands and elsewhere. We had an events team with a number of us from various countries working together to try and make something happen. The interesting difference for adult leaders in scouting in the United States is most of us, not all of us, most of us are parents and, have been either in scouting as adults for a while and maybe were scouts as kids. Many of the ISTs from around the world are not. They're more like what we just heard about from Chris. People who, are in their 20s from the rest of the world. So it's a very social event for them. So that's something to keep in mind. It's interesting and fun to see all that. But if you're expecting a bunch of adult leaders like you would see at a round table, it's not the same thing. We camped separately from the units. We ate separately from the units. but at the same time, we can go interact with the units, provide support to the units if needed, and hang out with the units if we were off work. We could do all that, and I'm sure we can do all that in Poland. I thought that was a great experience. Korea, of course, had its own adventures, but all in all, the being an IST gave me both my own thing to do. I wasn't tied down to the troop schedule, but I could also get involved with the troop if I wanted to. So I highly recommend it. I'm happy to talk to anybody about it.
All right. Thanks, Thomas and Greg.
Okay, unit leader selection process. For those of you who don't know, youth participants will be put into a unit of 36 youth with 4 adult leaders. And it's obviously going to be a provisional unit because we've got scouts and leaders coming from all over the country. We're going to be starting the selection process Q1 of 2026. You'll need to complete the application. You'll need to complete the application process in early 2026, as well as you'll need to get your scout executive approval. You'll participate for those selected from the applications. There'll be an interview process that will start in second quarter 26, and the selection process, everyone will be notified by the second quarter. Please realize this is going to be a very competitive process. We've only got 4 adults for each unit, so a lot of people are going to be applied. Please, since it is a competitive process, we just don't have enough units to satisfy all interested parties being a unit leader. We highly encourage for you to, if you're not selected, to participate as an IST member, because as you already heard from Thomas and Greg, it's a great opportunity. You're able to see about everything that's going on at the Jamboree, as well as participate with other IST members from around the world. So definitely, please consider being IST. And as I mentioned earlier, if you're only interested in being a unit leader, please sign up on the website, and there'll be a link for that later if you don't already have it, and you'll be notified when that that process starts. Registration is already open for youth as well as IST and unit leaders that are interested in being IST if they're not selected to be a unit leader. November 1st is a big deadline for us. We want to get as many people registered this month because we have to submit to Poland how many people we want to bring to the World Scout Jamboree. December 1st, after we put in our request, along with all the other 170 countries from around the world put in their request, they will then get back to us how many we are allowed to bring. So that's why we want to make sure that we have as many people registered with us as possible. If for some reason we are not given our full request, we will be making the selections based on when individuals signed up. January, and the last important date, January, is the first payment is going to be due. You'll get notification sometime that first week in January that deposits both due for youth as well as for IST members.
Yeah, so Ron, I'm going to put a challenge out to the group that's on the phone now. In our last seminar, we had 9 people register while we were on the call. So there's your link right now So if you're considering registering, grab that right now. Let's see if we can beat the 9 registrations in the last seminar. I'll give you a second and then we'll go.
At the end of this, we'll also have links for our webpage, our Facebook group, as well as this registration again.
All right, I'm going to share a little bit about our logo. This is a really important key because it identifies the culture and the story behind each of the contingents that attend. And so Poland started out with some basic elements that we all needed to include. And that included the, I'll call it the zigzag background and the Bravely emblem, as well as obviously the location of the Jamboree and then our country. And from there, we used elements which depicted parts of American culture. And there's a story here that shares the different parts. Obviously, the bald eagle is something that's quickly associated with the American culture, along with the clouds and stars that share in the background, both in our flag with the stars, as well as putting context to our eagle. For those of you who may look at the terrain here, you might identify Tooth of Time and Baldy from Philmont. And so with permission from Philmont, we were able to include that also as a part of our logo. We will see this many times in our swag, whether it may be on our neckers, our patches that we trade, or on some of our swag. But this is really the story that we'll share. I know that I'm a trader, so I came home from Korea with more than 30 different neckers or patches. But really the interesting part was the story that I learned and the culture and the symbolism that each of those countries took time to share in our tent patches that we traded. So this is the story that our scouts will have to share as they learn more about other countries. All right, and so we're going to shift over here now to Greg, who's going to talk about our World Scout Jamboree cost.
Thanks, Ella. Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Stesney. As Bill introduced me as the finance lead, I have the distinct pleasure and privilege to walk you through what everybody else has been thinking about. Why does it cost so much, and where is all the money going? But before I get into those tiny details, I wanted to provide this graphic, which we actually borrowed from another contingent, because the information really shows how the Jamboree fee is constructed. And of the next handful of slides, I'll walk you through some of those areas. I'll tell you how the number came to be, and I'll also explain why there's some wiggle room and what we're doing as a leadership team, working with various travel vendors and air vendors to minimize the cost and maximize the fun. As you can see, I'm sure many of you already quickly identified that the 3 big rocks that we have here are the World Scout Jamboree fee, which is about 20%, 27% of the total fee. We have the flight, which is about 1/3, and then the pre-tour. So the fee, as I will show a little bit later on, it's set. That's the one fee that we really know already what it is, and there is no wiggle room. We tried to hedge our bets a little bit by providing some early bird registrations that were reduced a little bit. However, that's the one fee that we get. Ella used to tell me a good story. It's is like planning a family vacation. There's certain, yep, I stole that, but it is attributed to you, so thank you. You know, certain family vacations, you know exactly what some of the upfront costs will be. And then as you get further along, there's certain areas where you're not quite sure, you kind of have an idea, and then there's some other ones that so far out there, you know there's gonna be an expense, you don't know what it is. The flight is actually one of those as well. The flight, we took information from previous jamborees. We did some preliminary web searches. Shimon and I spent a countless night going through Google Flights, trying to figure out what an approximate flight would be, taking a look at all the different combinations of permutations, looking at the old travel vendor contracts to see what other fees would be. And we have a rough estimate of flights. The challenge is if you've done a lot of travel, you realize that the flight information won't be posted till about 330 days out. So we have ideas that what we think it might be. And some of our travel vendors are kind of in that same ballpark, so we're working to figure that out. Then the last part is the pre-tour. Shipman also provided you with a really neat itinerary about 5 days. We're working with our vendors, we're working with Shimon, we're working with other individuals who've been to Poland to try to figure out what is that best opportunity to share the Polish culture, the Polish heritage, the Polish people with you. Because half the fun of going to World Jamboree is not just going to the Jamboree site and experiencing all the activities with the internationals. The other half is really going to that foreign country, that host country, and really diving deeply into their culture, their language, their history, their people. And those between those two is what you're gonna remember. The challenge that we have is making sure that uh, everybody gets to the same location. We have enough, as Ashim was talking about, there's enough resources within Poland because, of course, if the U.S. we're interested in going somewhere, there are other contingents that are also looking to go different places. The rest of the expenses, swag, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the operations and some of the other, what we're calling other expenses, and how they bucket. But the most important thing to realize is we spent a lot of time putting this budget together with a lot of smart people. And the one thing pulling out that Scout lawism, um, being thrifty is kind of our North Star. We want to make sure that you have a good value for the experience that you're going to have. And because since we're also going and we're also paying the exact same thing that you are, we really do appreciate, understand that everybody does have a budget, and we want to make sure that everyone is, this is something that everybody can do. Next slide, please. Okay, the great reveal. I think you've probably seen this in other slides and other presentations, but our projected expense is between 6,200 and 6,700 for participants and unit leaders, and the cost for our IST members is approximately 2,900 and 3,100. So you're probably trying to figure out, okay, what's the big difference? Well, first off, before I even go there, there's a range. As I said before, there are some expenses that we know and other expenses that are projected. And the closer we get to the date of the Jamboree, we're going to have those numbers more tight, and we'll be able to provide what those actuals are as part of the whole fee. And toward the end of the payments, especially once we get to I think it's end of March of 27 is when we have a projected final payment. Depending on what the actual costs are, that final payment may be what it is, or maybe less, and depending on what the actual costs are. IST members, the significant difference is because they're paying their own flight. Many of the IST, as Ron was talking about, they're going to have a contract with the Jamboree management team for the job that they do, and the Jamboree planning team. So they're going to be contracted for the particular job through the Jamboree, not through us. You register through us, you pay us, we pay them, but you work for them. And depending on your role and your position, you might be there the day of, 2 days before, 5 days beforehand, or you might be staying and leaving the day at the end of the conclusion of the Jamboree, or you might be staying a day or 2 or 3 days later. So the travel, we can't solve that travel. So that's something that you'll have to figure out. And then the second part, the other big part, is the pre-tour experience. IST members will have a pre-tour experience. However, it's going to be managed and offered by the Jamboree planning team. All right, Ella, thanks. Okay, a little bit more of a detail. What do we know? We know the Jamboree fee. I think it was Ella who mentioned that we are a Category D country. That means in order to make the World Jamboree accessible to every country throughout the world, our fee is approximately $17.70. And you probably, those of you who went to Korea, realize that that number is significantly higher. However, as when Bill and I were in Poland a couple of weeks ago for the head of contingent meeting, they really did break down the fees and talked about the inflation, talked about the cost, talked about the increased infrastructure to make sure that things went well. We've all had experiences from South Korea, and we were very confident based on the programs that they're talking about that this fee is very much aligned with the services that we'll be getting. The second part to the airfare, again, 330 days out, we'll figure that out what that's going to be with our travel vendor. However, those of you who went to South Korea, you remember that we had approximately 15 different hub cities where we flew out of and flew directly into Seoul. That the plan is still the same, is to have various hub cities where we then fly into our pre-tour site. Now, depending on the number of participants and the geographic spread of where everybody is going to kind of decide where those hub cities will be. And unlike South Korea, where we had 15 cities that flew directly into Seoul, there are fewer cities in the United States that fly directly into either Warsaw or Warszawa or Kraków. So we have some work. Shimon gave me the high five symbol. So right
No,
now there's
4.
five. The 4. Okay, sorry.
Only
So there's
4
4.
cities.
You know, so we have a couple choices. I'm not going to go through all the combinations or permutations right now, but that's something we're actively working with our transportation vendor. And then again, that pre-tour experience. Once we figure that out, I know Shimon spent a lot of time working with local contractors inside of Poland to get a rough estimate of that tour expense. And in our request for proposal from various travel agencies, once we understand what that pre-tour is going to look like and we're able to nail down the fees, that part of the Jamboree cost will be clear. Next slide, please. So as we talked about, there's really 2 more bits of information I'd like to share: the cost breakdown for participants and unit leaders, as well as for IST members. As a participant and unit leader, we're going to get swag, we're going to get gear, we're going to get tents, cots, insurance, and contingencies. So swag and gear, we were very careful. We kind of argued and had a little bit of fun with these words. We don't want to say you're going to get a backpack, you're going to get a duffel, because you're going to hold us to it. Right now, we have no idea. We know that you're going to be some sort of travel bag. We know you're going to get some sort of day pack. We all have our pet projects that we like to kind of push through. We know you're going to get a neckerchief or 2 or some patches and t-shirts. That's all we're going to tell you. However, we do know that we have a budget that we are setting for ourselves, because if you're a patch trader, or in this case on the international side, if you're a necker trader, it could get really, really, really expensive very, very, very quickly. So we are also trying to determine what is that minimum swag package that each participant and unit leader at IST will receive. But then what else could we put on? What else could we put our US logo on? What else could we get license approval to put on the World Jamboree logo on other things, maybe sweatshirts or water bottles or stuff like that, that it's not part of the contingent swag, but you have the opportunity to go get similar types of things. Cots and tents, if you were in South Korea, we had tents and cots. In this case, the Jamboree is not providing those. So we have to purchase those for the contingent. We are working on 2 options. One, the Jamboree management team is looking to actually put together a contract for everyone, so that it's similar to the kit that gets dropped off at a local site. If you put in the order, and they decide to do this, then a pallet of tents and cots will be delivered. Ideally, that's the plan, to include a plan on redistributing those items to probably category A and B countries, because they're really looking to be sustainable. The other option is there are a handful of countries that we got together informally at the HOC meeting to talk about if the Jamboree planning team doesn't do this. There are about 6 countries. We already have a group chat working on finding tent and cot vendors within Europe that could do a much bigger purchase, that they could also then drag the cots and the tents to the Jamboree site, so we don't have to rent and ship Iconics like we did to South Korea that got trapped in the ocean for a couple of days, which was a challenge. Insurance, contingency, those are part of the normal program. You know, we all buy travel insurance to make sure something happens. There's the Jamboree has insurance. We also will have also different insurances. It's a risk mitigation strategy. Sometimes you can't you could guess the unexpected, but sometimes you just can't make that risk go away. So you know, insurance could be the way to mitigate that, so people are covering the backside. And contingency, if you took a look at it, was like 2%, but that's just good planning principles. All right, IST. I already mentioned what's not included: airfare, tours. Airfare you're going to do on your own. Tours you're going to have the opportunity if you choose, and your schedule and your contract the schedule works. Mazurkas, which is the travel agency that is contracted through the Jamboree to be their official travel agent. They are in the process of putting together pre and post tours, and they will be distributed, at least the opportunity will be made available from the Jamboree planning team once everything is set. And again, the same stuff that's included in terms of swag, tents, cots, insurance, and contingencies, that part of the fee to include the Jamboree fee will be what you will pay. With that, I pass the mic back to Bill.
Thank you, Greg. And Ella, what do we have for? So that concludes our presentation. We'll get to hear from people, and I want to thank everyone on the team that's been putting a lot of time and effort so far, and we still have I think 21 months to go. So it's gonna be a lot of work. So Ella, you want to throw any questions people might have? If you have any, please type them in the chat.
Yeah. Well, actually, so I'm going to ask you to bravely ask in the Q&A section that you have available. This is opportunity. Remember, our guest speakers are also here. So if any of the youth want to ask youth-to-youth questions, feel free to put those in there. And while you're doing that, I'm going to move to the QR codes. If you'd like to scan our website, mailing list, or the Facebook group, this is your opportunity to grab those QR codes. Unlike Korea, one of the things that we have tried to do is to keep people engaged throughout the process. So when you get registered, it's not months before you hear something. Instead, you're getting periodic communications. You can see different newsletters that are posted on the website, in the Facebook group. So we would encourage you to share those with, and I'm going to just put a challenge out there. Each of you on the call tonight, I'm going to ask you to share it with your home unit, but I also am going to ask you to share this with 5 additional people, because Bill has set a lofty goal for us to reach at least 1,000 people. And so that means I need to ask everybody that touches our conversation to ask 5 more people so that we have a chance to get to that 1,000. All right, so let's go to some of our Q&A here. And so our first one up is, with Scouting America having co-ed units now, will the contingent travel as co-ed units this time, as many other countries did for South Korea, or will they be male-female units again?
So thank you. So that is up to the individual scouts or participants. So we are offering the 3 types. You can either join a male unit, a female unit, or a co-ed unit. That it's up to the participants. And depending on how the distribution works, we might not be able to make it work for everybody like that. But we do want to give them the preference of how they want to form as a unit.
And while we're traveling from our hub cities, that will most likely be co-ed in all cases.
Yes.
And so there will always be a female and male leader at each of those, and usually many adult male and female leaders, not just 1 or 2.
Yeah, and this is going to be all in line with how BSA operates. You mentioned other countries with co-ed. That's because all the other countries have co-ed scouting. We have the only co-ed scouting that we had until 2019 was venture. But we still are in the female troop, male troop, and venture is structure. So we're gonna just mirror what we have as Scouting America.
Yep. And we also had a ship too in Korea.
And
So
a ship.
let's not forget our ship.
Well, there is question about it later.
Yeah. All right. So coming up next, greetings from Northern California. So you guys are on regular time. Some of us are a little late here. So I have 2 children registered last week. Yay! I'm going to cheer. So where can we find guidance on fundraising for their trip? They already have potential sponsors willing to support, but we want to make sure we are in line with Scouting America's guidelines. So excellent question. I'll start. So first of all, most units participate in their council fundraising and their unit fundraising. And I would say you have 3 more opportunities for council-wide fundraising, whatever your councils may sell. I will just say for my own Scouts deal, we made a deal. He had to raise 50% of all activities he did in Scouting. So it was a little cheaper to go to Japan in 15, but still he got 50% from just literally selling reefs. So if you're a unit, if your Scouts want to get out there and do that, that is a great thing. Sponsors are also a wonderful opportunity. Organizations that sponsor either youth or international activities like Rotary International. Many times if your youth will put together a short 2 or 3 slide presentation and talk with the main people in those groups, many times they will also provide some funding. Anything else you want to add to that, Bill?
No, I think you covered it all. I mean, we're gonna throw some ideas out on the website. A lot of it has to do with, right now we don't have anything set aside. We haven't received any funding, from any companies, any sponsorships. We will reach out to them, but that's not a guarantee at this point. So a lot of it would be done at the local level. Plus, it could be, Polish American organizations, fraternal groups, in or nearby where you live, and some of them might be willing to, help sponsor something that, kind of, helps to, appreciate their culture and their country.
And let's not forget about popcorn sales. You have 2 cycles of that. So this year, we're still going on, and next year, so you can still raise some funds that way as well.
Yeah. And then obviously, young kids can also have jobs. I will just say, I got paid a couple dollars an hour for babysitting. I think now it's about $25 an hour around where I live per hour for babysitting. So there's some money out there to be had if they're creative. All right. So our next question is, do we have a deposit schedule to share yet?
Yeah, we are working on that. So the first deposit of $1,500 for participants and $750 for IST is going to be due at the beginning of January. So those who've signed up will get an email at the beginning of January with that payment to be made. And also so not only the payment schedule, but also, what portion would be non-refundable, because that non-refundable portion, which would be $200 at the beginning, will grow as it gets closer to the Jamboree. Obviously, if someone drops out late and we can find a replacement, that'll help to get the refund, higher refund back. We understand that things change, situations might change, and we want to be as flexible too, but we do have a lot of costs that we have to put the money out for. So we will get the payment schedule out probably I don't want to give it a time, but pretty soon.
We should be able to we should have the payment schedule when the January deposit is due. We'll have that all out.
Yeah, we'll have it, and we should have it before then, but we'll definitely have it, by the end of December.
All right. So the next question is, will there be a Sea Scout unit like in 2023?
So that would be something where we could poll the participants. Right now we're just asking when they sign up if, male, female, or co-ed. But we could certainly ask, as it gets closer, we have, the hundreds of people signed up, hey, I don't know if we would know if they're registered as a Sea Scout, but we could ask, would you like to form a Sea Scout ship? So that's something we'll look into.
All right, so the next question is about travel. And so do we have to travel to the Jamboree with the official group? And can we arrive in Gdansk on our own? We have family in Poland, and it can be challenging to go without seeing family first.
So there won't be any discount on the airfare because it's logistically challenging enough trying to get people over there. But if there is a family situation where there could be something going on before or after the Jamboree, on a one-off basis, reach out to us and we can work with the travel agent, to, again, whatever the cost would be, like if you were going over a week early, see if we could move that flight over that way. No guarantees on it, but it's something that, we understand it's a big expense for everybody. So we if we can get the travel agent to make it work, then that's something we'll try to do.
Yep. There's another option which may not necessarily be perfect, but there will be day passes that'll be available on certain days at the Jamboree site. There's a general area where they'll be able to come and visit the scouts that are on site. So that may be also another option for those who may have family in that general area. All right, a question from the Far East Council. Are we flying to Poland with the rest of the contingent?
That is a good question. I've been talking to the Transatlantic Council. I have not heard anything from the Far East Council. So if you want to send an email, usapoland2027@gmail.com, we can try to work on something for the Far East Council.
Yeah, and this is a parent asking. So if Yuko, if you also know, for instance, a leader name or a head of your group, that council that might be involved, that would be also helpful for us.
Yeah.
All right.
I will say we did have for Korea, we had a number of individuals that needed to. We are able to make travel arrangements to get scouts from outside of the U.S. to our land, wherever we fly into and out of. So we are able to take care of that as part of the travel.
Yeah, and if there wasn't enough for a full troop from the Far East Council, we could just have them as in with some of the U.S. based units.
That is what we did. That is what we did for Transatlantic Council scouts to get to Korea.
Greg, you had one, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. And what we did, actually, what we're doing right now for this Jamboree, we've also been talking with our travel partners or soon to be travel partners, because the RFP is out there. We did let them know that we more likely than not will have members from the Transatlantic as well as the Far East Council. Transatlantic, we're more likely going to handle it in one way, and the Far East Council, we're going to handle it differently. Now we just need to figure out the numbers and where everybody is before we can figure out the most cost-effective way for the contingent as well as for the individual participant.
All right, I just want to make sure participants that are on, can you see the answered questions? Because many of them have been answered as we were talking with written responses. Do you guys know if they can see them? I'm hoping they can. Yep. Okay. All right. That's all of the open questions. So one person said they cannot see the answered questions.
There is, if you go to the top of that question and answer, if you open up the window, up on top it has 3 tabs. One is open, the second one is answered, and the third one is dismissed. If you click back onto the answered ones, it has all the questions that have some sort of answer that was provided into the chat.
Yeah, and I'm showing that on the screen right now. I think they can see that. So if you go to the answered.
We can't see what you're doing, Ella.
Oh, you cannot see that? Oh,
No.
sorry. I put it on the screen, but I guess it doesn't show over the top of the other one.
Now, and the questions that were answered, written answers, you will be able to see it. The ones that we answered verbally, this question has been answered live. There's not a lot of questions that were out there that have not been answered live. Primarily the questions what to bring to the Jamboree. There's, as you saw what's going to be provided, so primarily your personal items. There's another question, well, and of course the passport. There's one more thing that I wanted to mention is that we will be working with travel agents because as the US has the pre-registration for entry, so does the European Union. So this will be handled by the travel agent, where every person entering European Union has to get the so-called entry-exit registration, but that will be handled by the travel agent. In terms of the question, there was also, I wanted to add, we've talked about the situation where someone has a family in Poland. If they are not associated with any troop, they don't know anyone, one of the options would be for them to register with the Transatlantic Council, because that group those are scouts that are based in Europe, and they could go with those scouts as a troop.
If there's space permitting, because the
If there's-
Transatlantic is
yeah,
trying to do
correct.
their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will, whatever you do, just remember that even though the Jamboree is in 27, there's not a lot of time for some of the stuff that needs to be done. So don't delay, don't leave it for the last minute, because there might be not be able to go.
So I put the registration QR code up again. As a reminder, our goal is to get more than 9 while we're on this call, so we can beat the last seminar. But I do want to share, some of you on this call may have this situation where you have a youth who is eligible for the World Jamboree. They'll be 14 to 17 at the right time frame. But they're also active members in the Order of the Arrow, and our 2027 NOAC conflicts with the same time frame. And so one of the options and the guidance I gave my son is you only have one opportunity to go to World Jamboree, no exception. You know, you can't come in and say, oh, I'm 18 now, can I still go as a participant? No. And so if this is the Jamboree that fits their time frame, for age, it's best that they select that. They can go to NOAC when they're 12 and 13. They can go to NOAC when they're 18, 19, 20. So that is one of the dilemmas that some scouts may be presented with. And so that may be a guidance that you can share with them as one way to maybe make a decision. So for those of you who have youth in both of those groups, there you go. All right, so I think that, is there any other comments, any other suggestions that the executive team has tonight?
Well, we have a couple of questions. Did you answer the?
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed, yep, some more late coming questions I missed. All right, is there a limit to the number of scouts or unit leaders that can join our contingent?
No, not right now. I mean, we do have, as we mentioned earlier, we have to set the contingent size by the end of November. So right now, anyone who's signing up will be able to go. After we submit our contingent size, we'll find out, how many we can bring, if less. But right now, everyone who signs up will be able to go.
And that's by the end of October.
By the end of October, yep.
Yep, by the end of October.
Yeah.
So once again, get out there and talk to your home units, talk to 5 more people besides that. All right, with the current political climate around Poland from nearby countries, do we have a contingency plan in place? I've heard rumors from people high in our local councils about maybe moving things to the summit.
That is not happening. The Jamboree planning team, probably has contingency plans that, they will not share with us. Like I said, our contingency plan is, we're over there. We met with the embassy. The military knows that we're over there. Got the greatest military in the world. We have, US troops stationed in Poland. We have a lot more in Germany. Poland is part of NATO. So, they have a great military over in Poland as well. So we will be well protected.
Yep. All right. Will there be a chance for the delegates to meet during the 2026 National Jamboree? Those going to the summit Bechtel before Poland. So I'll actually speak to that. I'm serving on international staff at the National Jamboree. Adelaide will also be there. She's on my team, and some other, I don't know if Tree is on here or John Michael, but there's a bunch of us that will be there. It is our intent to definitely have an opportunity to get together and meet other people. So it may or may not be people from your unit for the World Jamboree, but that's okay. You will continue to make friends. And there will be the WOSM International exhibit staff. My particular team, along with Tony, we're doing the commissioners and we're doing the VIP guest experiences. And as well, we'll be there recruiting. So if we're not full at that point, we will still be recruiting for additional staff. Yep, and so Alyssa, Alyssa Hightower, she's a part of the Jamboree planning team in Poland. So she will also be at the National Jamboree. So there will be a bunch of us. We'll definitely have a meetup. And if we can evacuate so here's another one for you, Bill. So if we have to evacuate the Jamboree as we did in Korea, will the IST still be part of the contingent, or will they be treated as we were in Korea?
Be treated better than you were in Korea. We're going to make sure that, we're going to have a member of our team here that will be a liaison, a commissioner for the IST, to make sure that they are fully informed of everything that we're doing. Along the way, we'll know where everybody is. If there is anything, that needs to happen, we're going to make sure that everyone is aware of it and communicated, to make sure that everyone is taken care of.
And by the way, there are no typhoons in Poland.
There we go. All right. I'll keep my eye open if there's any late breaking questions. But anything else from the executive team?
I just want to say, thank you for everyone who joined tonight. Thank you for everybody else, that participated, and those that joined, those in the executive team that put a lot together for this. Again, John Michael Gillespie for coming up with our contingent logo, Trident Bow for all the graphics and everything else, and the people that were on this call, the youth, the IST. It's just an incredible opportunity, which is why so many of us are so excited to put in this amount of work for the next couple of years to make sure that everyone has an incredible, safe adventure over in Poland. And if you have any other questions, again, USA Poland 2027@gmail.com. So just spread the word, and like I said, we'll have to set our size at the end of this month. That's all I have. Anyone else?
I'm just putting the QR codes for communication back up one more time in case somebody didn't get those scanned earlier. Otherwise, thanks everybody. We look forward to hopefully seeing your youth and hopefully some of you as leaders or as IST.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Right.